Well, what is it you do now, or what is it you can do, or and by you I mean individually and collectively, the Senate? The action's more in the House now, right?
The action is in the House, and what senators and all of us should do is say to members of the House, don't pass this bill. Because when they pass it, the president signs it into law, and then, of course, at the same time they vote for it, they're going to vote against it. That's the new trick. And they're going to send over to the Senate a bill to, quote, fix it. Well, they're not going to be able to fix it because there are rules in the Senate, and Republicans are going to insist on following the rules in this reconciliation process. And we're going line by line through 3,000 pages and saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Oh, wait, we is the Senate or the House?
We is the Senate.
Okay, you're going to do that when it gets to you, if it gets to you.
That's right. So first, the House passes this bill, which has two parts. They vote for it and they vote against it. They send the part they voted for to the president. That's the Senate bill that nobody likes. He signs it into law, and that's over. That's done. Then they send us the second part of what they passed, and that's called let's fix what we just did that we claim we don't like. And they expect the Senate to bail them out, but all 41 Republican senators have signed a letter saying, we're not going to bail you out. We're going to follow the rules. And if you've sent over to us things like the abortion language, you cannot fix that in this budget taxing process. This is an awful way to write a big, complex piece of legislation, and there'll be many problems with it.
All right, so you'll object to those, and this will be a time-consuming process. But what happens to the first part that went to the president and is already signed? Is that law?
It's law.
So it then takes effect?
It takes effect. It's law, regardless of what the Senate does.
So what is the point of their obstruction, the positive obstruction, of you all doing this if we've already lost the game?
Well, the point of our doing it is to not allow them to abuse the process further. I mean, we cannot allow the House or the President or any group of people to completely undermine the role of the Senate in the American constitutional government, which is really to say that on big issues, we're going to require consensus instead of majority, and we need 60 votes.
I see, but the House bill that he would sign might be worse than the one with the amendments they're trying to offer that you will debate.
Well, that's a good point, but we'll have
the kickback and all that stuff.
We'll have to consider that as we go through the bill line by line. But basically. The Senate Republicans are not going to bail the House Democrats out by fixing a bill we all voted against.
I got you. Wow. I mean, it's really something, isn't it? Yeah, I heard you on TV the other day. You were saying that, what were you talking about, Watergate? That's since Watergate or Clinton impeachment? I can't remember.
Well, no, I was talking about Watergate. I said it was the most brazen act of political arrogance that I could remember since Watergate, which was 1974. And I don't mean by that breaking the law. I mean by that just thumbing your nose at the American people and say, we've heard you in town meetings, and we've heard you in elections, and we've heard you in consistent public opinion polls. We know you don't want it, but we're going to jam it anyway. And it's also the first time that we've ever passed a big piece of social legislation by a purely partisan vote. Pat Moynihan used to say, whom you knew very well, and a late Democratic senator, that you don't want to do that because you're not only trying to pass it, you're trying to pass it in a way that the country will accept, like the civil rights bills or the Medicare, Medicaid. So they all had more than 70 votes. This will have just a partisan majority. And I think what it will do is kick off a spontaneous campaign across the country to attempt to repeal it. It will define every congressional race in November.
Well, that would be a rationale then for doing exactly what you're doing in the Senate and letting that stink bomb of a bill with all the kickbacks and all that stuff sit out there in the sun and fester.
Put it to the American people and say, okay, they've jammed it through in a partisan way. The president actually said at the summit, this may be his most memorable words there, that's what elections are for.
Yeah.
And he said last September that the health care bill is a proxy for a larger debate on the role of the federal government in American lives. We think he's right about that, and maybe it's just a question that should be put to the people in November, let them let them say this is what we think.
We'll let you go. We know you're very busy. We thank you very much for checking in. But let me just ask you this. We had Byron York on yesterday. We've talked to some other excellent political reporters who say they don't have the votes now, and he thinks, and some others thinks, they're bluffing. They're not going to get the votes in the House.
Well, that could be.
I mean, Dennis Kucinich was with the president yesterday in Strongville on the plane. He took Dennis with him. Did you know this?
Yeah, I saw that.
Twisted his arm the whole way, and it was still no when they got back to Washington. Now, when you're working that much time on Dennis Kucinich, you're a problem. You got a problem.
Well, and they're going through such an awkward, bizarre procedure here, which is one of the things the American people don't like, that it's bound to cause them problems. For example, one of their options is literally to wrap all this up in one vote and have the members of the House who are Democrats literally vote for the bill and vote against it at the same time. Now, after all the other tricks they pulled, how are you going to go home and explain that to people?
Yeah. All right, folks, this is a definition of what a senator's supposed to be. There's that cooling saucer, that deliberateness, that thoughtfulness. Thank you. Thank you for being a living example of what founders intended, sir.
Thank you, Bill Bennett.
Okay, Lamar Alexander, thank you very much. Even, calm, thoughtful. This is what they were made for. This is what they were made to do. I understand it now. You see what they're doing. They're saying, we're going to pass this bill so we get this thing done, the Senate bill. We don't like it, so now we have to fix it. So they're saying here's one other dimension to this. So they're saying to Stupak, well, sign on. We know you don't like the abortion provisions, but the president will sign this, and then this other thing will go up, and we'll fix it. But Stupak can say, based on what Lamar was just saying, they're not going to fix it. The Republicans aren't going to let you fix it. They want this most stinking mess there is sitting out there rotting in the sun so they can then repeal it. Why do they want to make your bill better? Why do they want to make something they disagree with more palatable to the American people?